right, let's go play with this table for a while. There's a few things that we can do this table. Number one, it's really common to on a table to be able to want borders, right? We just kind of think, we kind of expect them. We're kind of surprised we didn't have them. So let's go ahead and add a border to our table. So if I select the table, you have to spell it right, then I can add border. Remember that we did this combination border one, and we can set the style. So I'm going to make this solid, and I'm going to make it 4 pixels big. And the color, what color do I want it to be? I could do, let me do that really dark blue. See what color that is. I haven't used that yet. You can pick whatever color you want. So pick it out of that group so that it goes together. So you keep those colors out of the group. And there I got a border around the table. That was not quite what I was expecting. I kind of want to get borders around each little individual piece. So instead of choosing table, do you remember what those elements are? So if I go inside the table, I have rows with TRs, I have THs with table headers, and I have TDs. So let's try a few of these and see how that happens. So let's try T row and just see if we can get it around the row. So we know we can get it around the whole table. And rows, it doesn't work. So it won't put a border around rows. So that doesn't do us any good. Let's try TD, the table data. So if I do that, then I get borders around table data. And here, the table header, I can leave those unbordered, or I can make those bordered as well by putting a comma T header. Remember that if you want to do more than one, you separate them with commas. And now I have it around the table data and the table headers. Okay, this isn't exactly what I expected. I really did get a border around each one, but notice how there's a gap between the borders. And in fact, that's a value you can play with, how big you want that gap to be. That's another property. But what about if you want to get rid of them altogether? And you can do that by collapsing them. Now, this property only works on tables. So I want to do this on the table. I'm not going to put my border around the table, but I'm going to set the border collapse property on the table. And I want to set it to collapse. Right, the keyword collapse. And I say save it and refresh. And there, now I get those borders that I expect. They collapse those borders in so that there's a border between them, an individual border between them rather than two instead of borders around. All right, so there's borders around the table. Now, what are some things we want to do to this? Well, it'd be nice to move it away from, to move that table away from that image, right? And so remember in the border box that that's outside the border between the next element. So let's go ahead and put around that border, let's put some margin. That was the margin part. And I could do margin bottom, or I could do the one that separates all of them. So I want now before, remember how we did, so let's say that I want the top, it always starts at the top, right? So let's say that I want some serious space, a little bit of space here. So I'm going to put 32 pixels on the top, and then I'm going to put 24 on the right, and 32 on the bottom, and 24 on the left. So let's go ahead and save that and refresh. And there I was able to move some space, right? And so I've got that space from the left and the right. Let's go back, and the left and the right are 24 pixels, and the top and the bottom are 32. Well, remember that when we use 4 numbers, we get top, right, bottom, left, right? Start at the top and go clockwise. Another way you can do this is with 2 numbers. And if you do 2 numbers, then the first one is the top and bottom, and the next one is the left and right. And that's what I want. So I can just use this with actually 2 values here. And it's exactly the same because I get that 24, I get the, which was which? I get the 32 top and bottom. So 32 pixels top and bottom, and then 24 pixels left and right for my margin. Okay, now notice another thing here that's bothering me is how tight those numbers are against the borders. And what that means is there is no padding here. Now the padding is the space between the content and the border, and I want to add padding between all these borders. So I want this on the TDs and the TH. So I'm going to put a padding here in the TDTH. Okay, you add some padding too. You can pick your value, but add how much you want. I'm going to go ahead and put 12 pixels of padding and see what that comes up with. All right. Okay, so there you go. Fix this up with your table. Collapse the borders, pick border color, style, and width. Add padding and margin to get that table set out of sight.